Merry Christmas, viewers. Welcome to another War of the Visions video. This time, we've got those two little scamps, Ed and L. Their information's been revealed on warofthevisionscalc.com by Bismarck. So let's go take a look at it together and see if this is, the true thing to be staying strong for. Is it still Sephiroth? I mean, whenever you release something else in the future, then all of a sudden, everything else is irrelevant. You got to save for that thing. But I mean, we can kind of maybe be discerning. Let's start with Ed, because he's the free unit. So we've got pretty sweet art here. He's a wind unit. I know that doesn't really make any sense in terms of theme, but whatever. I've given up on that. Literally, Gumi doesn't build elements on theme. They build it for balance. I couldn't even say it. But anyway, he's got his own unique main job. We've got Spellblade and Strider, which are okay sub jobs. There's some good applications there. He's a hat cloth accessory guy, whatever. So his coat, the famous red coat, is his TMR. It's pretty interesting because it gives you regen, which is always really great, and then some single target resistance, and that's actually a pretty decent amount of it. There's nothing crazy about his mastery ability except for 25% attacks a lot, actually. And then the dream ability is slash and pierce resist up and some AoE resist. It's all really good, actually, to be honest. Like, this is all fine stats to add. So you'll definitely, for limited characters, you'll likely want to get them to the dream awakening anyway, even though you can do it without limited mind spheres, but it's just, this is the chance to get them, right? So we'll take a look at his stats in a sec, because they don't really have them down at the bottom here, so I'll bring them up in just a moment. But we can look at his resistances, and the theme here is that he's very strong against slash and pierce. So he'll be extra strong against those two, 25 and 25 when you start the battle, except he has a vision card that gives 10 for bestowed. He has a buff that gives up even more stats. So he can really, really go hard against slash and the stab, pierce, resistance. But then he has got nothing else, or not much else, on the other three resistances. So just something to keep in mind, that he's just a fair unit. He's got some strengths and he's got some weaknesses, although we can solve some of those weaknesses. So when we look at the skills, we can get some magic resistance right off the bat from our Spellblade sub, but he can get even more pierce and slash resist. So we were at 25% starting. Now we are at 37, 47 with the vision card. And then with his little buff down here, where is it? Another 25 each. So, don't make me do the math. That's going to be 72% after the buff for slash and pierce. And then another 15 AoE resist. He's at 25 with his dream ability. This is pretty good. I mean, it seems like if you know exactly who you're targeting or what the meta is, then you have a chance here. Even with penetration, you can still have a lot of resistances left over. And then otherwise, he gets some agility and some move if you need. So it's pretty good. And then you even have the Wild Instinct defense penetration here and some accuracy. So really what we're looking at is a pretty offensive unit with really specific resistances that can, kind of cover for at least the magic resistance a bit, because we also have multiple ways to raise our spirit, right? We've got our, the magic barrier, first of all, has been upgraded in JP, 70% of damage. But then we have magic resist, right? And then we also have, oh my goodness, Amulet Fang. Nope. It's called, wait, where is it? I thought, oh yeah, it is Amulet Fang. Okay. I can't remember what it's called in global, but another 25 spirit there with an attack buff. So there's ways. Now, of course, all of this is dispellable. So really, he's not a courage person. He has a magic barrier, but he's going to be more of like a, hey, I need a tank that can divert attention so I can use my AoE resistance and maybe some of my high resistances and not get dispelled, hopefully. But otherwise, what kind of unit is he? He's a strike unit. He can imperil strike attack or strike resistance. He can use the power of machine armor to basically dispel all buffs, dispel haste, dispel those physic magic buffs, and even give himself protect and give himself an auto restore. He's got 100% hit attack that can target multiple people, and he even has multiple pierce attacks of his own, because it's Ed, right? He can turn his thing into a sword and can slash people, and then he can bring a spear to nothing, huck it, and then otherwise he's got a barrier break and some big modifiers. So what's interesting about him for me personally, is that he has these 3 attack types. So he's got the slash from the Strider, which actually has another barrier break and courage ignore. But then he also has the strike and the pierce. He's got a lot of different options, and that's why he doesn't have penetrations, which is fine. He can do quite a bit with his own kit here. Moving along to his stats, they're pretty okay. They're pretty decent. Honestly, this is, I mean, it's got to be the highest attack we've ever seen on a strike unit. And that's not even counting that he could get some attack from the Strider sub job that could really put him over the edge. And the fact that he gets some innate spirit from the Spellblade sub. His agility is at 67. His dex and luck are fine. They're kind of like, we used to think this was really good dex and luck back when the dexterity and luck were, you know, in the 200 range, and you'd even have people with 100 underneath 200 luck. This is now more the staple, and it means that his accuracy is okay, but he has an accuracy passive, so that's nice. And his HP is also okay. So really what we're looking at here is looks to be a pretty strong attacking unit with some survivability depending on who he's against, and then he will get shredded by certain attacks, and that's fair, right? That's a fair type of unit. And then there's a farmable item, the pocket watch here, and this is actually important because it can stack a lot of accuracy, or we can get a defense version. But what's really important is it has an ed specific buff, so decrease the AP consumption, wind attack, and then guess what? More pierce and slash. So what were we at before? I can't even remember. We were at 72. Guess what? We're at 80%. So we're at 80% slash and pierce resistance. And yes, some of that's dispellable, but I think it's only 25%. And this is including if you have the VC equipped. So that's pretty crazy just to go into a battle with like 80% of 2 resistances as soon as you get your first buff off. I almost forgot to talk about Ed's limit burst. It's really good. It's got a huge range. We got a 5. It's not loading up the range. What the heck? Okay. It's got a huge range, 5 range, and it has a big defense break at 45. And defense can go into the negative. So this can deal a lot of damage if you hit somebody that hasn't stacked a lot of defense. It also has the big modifier. It's a strike attack, etc. So this is a really great limit burst. And next we have Alphonse Elric, and he is going to be a very interesting unit again because he's also a strike unit. He has ninja and knight sub job, and guess what? He has innate hate. Does he remind you of anybody? Maybe if we went over to the ice element and we looked at a certain bandana clad human that's kind of annoying in his game. Yeah, he's kind of going to be the lightning version of Snow in a way. I mean, let's see if that's a fair thing to say about him first. But yeah, so we have Seeker of Truth is his new main job. We've got Ninja and Knight sub job. He's a fist user. You can use armor, helm, and accessories. And then when we look at his armor TMR, it actually gives him some attack and some HP absorb. And this is kind of crazy because he's got really low attack, but there's a ton of things on his kit that give him attack, but his attack is so low. But you can already see he gets HP and he gets defense from his master ability. He gets more single target resistance, and he even gets 200%. That's just a guaranteed physical damage up 15% for himself, which is really weird again because he's not an attacker, but he has all these things to try to make him a little bit stronger of an attacker. So we go over to his stats. We're just looking at the resistances real quick. Guess what? Did you guess that he was going to be good against slash and pierce? Good. I guess you guessed right. So otherwise, he's got a little bit better resistances than Ed did on the right side, but still obviously has a weakness in strike or in magic as well. When we go and we look at his skills, there it is, the increased chance of being targeted 5. And guess what? He's going to get more innate hate as well. We're going to look at it in just a second, but it's not on his kit. It's actually on an equipment item that he can get. But you can get agility from the ninja sub. You can get some slash, attack resist penetration. Not that you're going to really need that with him. More importantly, the HP on there. But I would actually go for the holy protection for the AoE resistance. But there's so many good passives here. There's a lot of things to be... to look at. Oh, you know what? I just realized we didn't look at Ed's counter, and it's actually really cool. It's a good chance to counter like 30%, and it's a 100% hit counter, which is kind of a neat counter to an evasion meta. So sorry for not bringing that up. But otherwise, for Al, he's just got your standard damage reduction. But let's look at the rest of his kit. So He's got a buff that will give him 25% slash resist, some AoE resist, elemental chain resistance. That's new. And then he can dispel protect, so he can make your physical attackers deal more damage by getting rid of that protect. That's pretty freaking sweet right there. He can also get decreased critical evasion, so it sounds like a really nice partner for Esper. If you were to do this and then she were able to come in and crit, that would be pretty sweet. He has his own physical damage barrier, and then he gets 50% defense penetration with it. You know what I was saying about that? He can even increase his own defense and spirit by 30 for one turn while attacking. The thing is, it's another Pierce attack. I just don't know with this range, and I know people will be coming with him or coming to him because of his hate, but still it feels like he might not use this as much as other things. Although he has a barrier break here as well, strike attack that has an agility break. Now I love this. So this is an AoE. I think he's going to use this because of the height difference, and then he's going to break people's agility. That's actually really key. I really love to see that. And he also has a 100% hit that dispels all the debuffs on himself and is 100% hit. Wait, I already said that. And it heals and it heals himself 25%. This is pretty cool. So he's got really short range, but he's supposed to be a tank that draw people to him. And that sounds pretty familiar actually. So the other thing that he has in his sub kit that's kind of interesting is just a chaining move, right? So very short range, but that's okay because the whole point here is that he's just going to be, you're going to use this for PvE. Then if you want to look at his other jobs, I mean, really what we're going to use is the Night sub specifically for Divine Heal to get the healing power up and to get the 100% debuff resist for Elemental Imperils. The rest of it's not important. He won't use that stuff. The strike's going to be better, but this Divine Heal will be really, really, really good. And then he has a Limit Burst, and his Limit Burst is, again, look at this, 50% attack buff. Right? That's crazy. That's such a huge attack buff, but his attack is super low. But this Limit Burst is actually very good. It's a really good PvE Limit Burst because it inflicts slow. It has 2 hits. That's going to be huge for any sort of PvE boss that can be slowed, but it's also really good for PvP because slow is such an impactful status effect. What did I say? His attack is 373. So yes, he gets all of these buffs to attack in various places. He gets some defense penetration, like a pretty big amount. He gets the physical attack up, but his base attack is so low and his actual attack is so low that it's not going to be a huge deal. He's not like he's going to be your damage dealer. And that makes sense because look at this. He has got 6,245 health. His agility is not bad at 64. His innate defense is 24. And then he's got good dex, not so great luck. He's not going to be super accurate, but he has a 100% hit attack. So really, he looks like a lightning version of Snow. And when we look at this little belt that he has, and we can again build some accuracy, we can build some defense, whatever it is, this is a really nuts piece of equipment for him because it gives him 30% more attack and then 5 more innate hate. So now we're up to the 10 innate hate. We're in Snowville and we're in this situation where we also have full defense and spirit debuff resistance when you're max health, essentially, because when you take a hit, you'll probably go below 70. You get 15% HP, which is nice. It will be a little bit more than your trust stones. This is a really nice piece of gear for a lot of tanks, but it's really good for Alphonse, obviously. And if you can think about him, that like this is the perfect scenario where he doesn't get dispelled and you think, okay, well, you can't break my defense, my spirit, my elemental resistances, and also I've got 10 innate hate, so that's great. Just try me. Finally, we have a vision card. Let's translate it real quick. What's it called? Believer in the Brotherhood, or just in Brotherhood, sorry, I misspoke. And it's a attack-based vision card with a bit of defense. Like I said, it has 10% slash and pierce resistance to the bestowed holder of this card. But here's the nuts part, okay? It has 18% agility, 16% single target resistance, and 35 strike attack. So obviously this is just a banger card on Ed or Al or both of them. And then you can use it on other units like the Rod Devout set or the set of Pierce units here. So when you think about lightning, you're going to think that, you know, Resnick is someone that could use this with Al, and then the two of them, you just have to add a third, and that third, I guess, could be Renan, maybe when he gets his upgrades, or maybe, I don't know. I literally don't know who the third person would be here, because I guess maybe it would be 9S, maybe. But you could also, I mean, you could use, if it was cost limited, you could usually set on the strike here as well, and she could take advantage of that 35 strike attack. And if it was Ed that you were going to use, and this was a wind team, then you have some other options, because, I mean, not really, not really that many more options. If I'm being honest with you, you have more like Pierce options and Wind to go along with Edward, but you know, less of the staff and the strike options. Although you do have Tifa, which is kind of interesting. So you have Tifa and you have Ed, and then maybe you have one of your Wind Pierce units of your choosing, and you're just going out and dealing huge amounts of damage to everything. All right, so I need to make some kind of prediction about if these units are going to be any good. And I think that obviously Alphonse should be fine because he's very similar to Snow in a lot of ways, and even though there are some differences between them, the concept of this tank that has undispellable hate, and there's quite a bit of it, is a really good concept, and it should mean that he does some serious work for lightning. So if you have a lightning based account, then you're likely going to want to go for him, and so that makes him a pretty good target for me. Now Ed is a free unit, and he looks like he's going to be a really good free unit. Now, and as much as I love Ed, I don't think I'll build him because I think that I'm just not really deep enough into Wind, and I don't really need him. Maybe I'll just put him in the barracks or something, right? Because he's a free unit. But what I'm really looking forward to is to see, first of all, where do we get Roy and the Führer King Bradley fitting into the puzzle? Like, what elements are they going to be? I honestly, what element is Roy Mustang going to be? I mean, a lot of people are saying ice. I mean, it kind of makes a lot of sense if you ask me. But do I think that these two units that we've seen right now are good? Yeah, I think they're both really good. I think that obviously Alphonse is a catch for a certain element, that Ed is a catch for Wind specifically, but otherwise you're not going to, like rush to build him because he's not going to fit into a rainbow team super easily or something. But I do think this is a pretty nuts collab. I am very excited for it, and I hope that you are as excited as I am. And if you are, then you could tell me in the comments. You could say things like, Mysidia, I am super excited for the FMA collab, and I love your Christmas sweater. Or you could just say that second part, that you love my Christmas sweater. It's up to you really what you want to say, but you should compliment me. And with that, I'm going to take off. I hope you all have a wonderful holiday season, and I'll see you all in the next video.